Hello again, this is Blunty, trying desperately to keep a quiet dignity about me as I introduce to you Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, the fresh faces of the most infamous of intergalactic partnerships. How are you doing, guys?
Very well.
Good.
Very
How are
well.
you?
Now, the premiere last night, huge. How'd you feel going into that?
It was a pretty extraordinary night. I mean, it was the first night that we were able to show the movie to a big audience, and to do it in the Sydney Opera House, which holds a great many people. And it was only, I guess, the first time that they'd shown it in shown a movie in the big theater at the Opera House. It was pretty great. It was pretty fantastic. A moment I'll remember.
There was also a really nice austerity about the sort of entering into the experience, like the most subdued red carpet I think I've ever been on. And that was really nice because it was manageable. There wasn't a frenzied chaos that can really pervade those things.
It's like a barbecue. It's like very...
Chris wanted to have a beer with the fans.
I did. I could have stayed outside all night. I really enjoyed
I think I
myself.
would have enjoyed that.
Oh.
Yeah, it would have been
It's
good.
cool.
Great.
It's
Forget
cool.
the movie, have barbecue. Yeah. Now, Kirk and Spock, like I said in the intro, the most infamous of duos on TV. How do you step into that role? How do you develop that chemistry that Leonard Nimoy and the Shatner had?
The Shat.
The Shat.
Chris and I were lucky to know each other before either of us got the roles in this film, so we carried with us a certain sense of comfort from the beginning.
Pardon me.
Oh my
Sorry.
God. I literally
Nose
can't believe
tickle.
you just did that. I'm so mad at you right now. Right in the middle, like right on my line. You know
Germs
what I mean?
everywhere.
It was a
I know
terrific
how to
answer then.
steal-
No,
I
it was
know how to
just-
steal a
it
scene.
I was really trying to... Anyway, so that was really helpful, and actually that existed with not just us, but with, I think, a lot of the crew. I mean, I knew John Cho before, I knew Zoe before. There was a sense of camaraderie that came with our connections, and it was nice. It was really easy, because the worst thing ever is if you have to manufacture that sense. It's impossible to do. The minute it becomes effort, then. So it's kind of effortless, except he smells.
Of what? What does he smell of?
Of charisma.
Of power.
I smell it. I'm detecting it. Throw me off now. I'm caught in the smell of the charisma. I'll just soak it in for a
Just
while.
soak it, yeah.
Yeah.
Just bask in it, just steep in it. There you go.
It's lovely. Your resemblance to Leonard Nimoy has been talked about ever since you were announced as Spock. Was that something people have picked up on before all this Star Trek stuff happened?
Well, it was actually something my mom and dad did on purpose. So, no, I actually never heard it before, really, like growing up or anything. I didn't really hear that much. I got other things. Certainly when I was, when I first came to LA, I got a lot of, there's people love to draw comparisons. So I would get things like Ben Stiller or Jason Schwartzman or Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Daniel
Oh my
Day-Lewis.
God,
Like I got a whole
yeah,
smattering
I
of
see
things in
that.
my first few years in
Ben
LA.
Stiller?
Ben Stiller
I see it in
around the
your eyes.
Zoolander period because I had
Really?
like spiky hair. Yeah,
yeah,
And I do this a lot. But no. But Leonard Nimoy was never really on the list. But I'm glad he is now.
Yeah, I mean, there are some shots in the film where you turn a certain way,
Yeah.
and it's the spitting image. It's amazing. So.
It was. I noticed last night actually because that's the first time we saw it on a screen that big, and the scene between Leonard and myself. I was like, wow, like I could actually see as I get older how I could look more and more like that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind. He's a dashing man.
Now, Shatner, a man of uncontrollable charisma. How do you
Right.
live up to that?
Well, I think that, all credit is due to JJ for, the mandate in the beginning of the film was to pay tribute to what had been done before, but really to remember that what we were doing was a new reimagining of the adventure. So with that in mind, and with JJ reminding us of that, I think it was easy to strike a balance between paying tribute and homage, and leaving breadcrumbs along the way of to remind people of who this character might become. Mr. Shatner's interpretation that everyone is so obviously aware of and used to.
What did you say earlier? The Shatner...
Shatnerian Kirk.
Shatnerian Kirk.
It's an adjectival form. Shatner. But but it was really credit due to JJ for really maintaining that balance all the time.
Did you spend much time studying his performances? Because the way you sit in the chair and the way you turn your face, it smacks of the Shat.
Well, it smacks of the Shat. I started watching the first season of the original series a lot, and but quickly realized that for me at least that watching it and learning all the minutiae of it wasn't helping me out in my performance at all. It was just making me actually more self-conscious and nervous that I wasn't going to be able to pull off, the best impersonation of Mr. Shatner, which wasn't my job, But there are certain, a couple things struck me about his performance in the original series that I really enjoyed, and one of it was the amount of humor he was able to bring to it, the same kind of humor that you see in Boston Legal that I don't think many people give him enough credit for. I think people just call it campy and say that he's not self-aware, he's not aware of what he's doing, but I think he's absolutely is. And on top of that, there's a physicality he brings to it that just resonated with me, and that I thought that I could maybe utilize certain small things to, make it apparent.
That's one of my favorite things about this guy is his ability to make it so clearly his own, so that when he does dip into those echoes, it's very, very. I mean, I remember when we were shooting the movie, that those moments were very specific and very sort of deliberate, and they resonate. I mean, I'm not surprised at how many people we've been talking to on this trip that have noticed it, but I think it's because it's juxtaposed with his real self in his own performance, and it's a testament to your talent.
Thanks, man.
That's a nice moment. Little kiss.
Infamous
on the
duo.
cheek.
Infamous duo.
Little cuddle.
Little cuddle. And it's a similar story for you. Your Spock is your Spock, and there are sort of touches of Leonard Nimoy there, but as opposed to the irrepressibleness of William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy always has a almost regal sort of dignity about him. Was that a sort of challenge to live up to that as well?
Well, I think there are physical attributes that are inextricable in terms of this character, right? Like there's a framework that's a little more structured with Spock than with some of the other characters in the film. So for me, it was about finding my point of entry into those. This iteration of the character does not have as much command over the duality that's sort of at play within himself, and I think that afforded me a little bit of a window, but not much of one. There's a very stillness and a rigidity almost to the way that he carries himself and relates to people. But it wasn't too intimidating. It was actually that kind of creative challenge that I really enjoy. And obviously having Leonard's participation and availability throughout the whole process made it a lot easier.
Must have been wonderful working with him.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest Leonard Nimoy fan as a person, as an actor, as a photographer, director, writer. I mean, he's got the coolest art collection. Like, we hang out. Like, anytime Leonard will chill with me, I'm down. I love that guy.
That's terrific. Yeah. Well, as much as I'd like to spend a much longer time talking to you guys, I'm giving the wind up, so we're going to go. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Love the performances.
Thank you so
Love the
much.
movie itself.
Appreciate it.
So
Thank you.
Hopefully we get more.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you.